So my name is Manfred Petschulat and we are from Zumtobel. Zumtobel is an Austrian-based lighting company. We are one of the biggest lighting companies in Europe, providing lighting solutions for all kinds of applications. And most likely you are not aware of the lighting in this room, I assume. Because usually we don't look at the ceiling, we don't perceive lighting. Lighting is just there. But lighting has an important role about how you perceive a room and how well you feel it. So when you think about your offices, what do you think about it? Do you like it? Boring? So, like this? Yeah, many people are like this, especially on Monday mornings. So when we look at offices, the three major complaints in offices about the condition in offices is air quality, noise, and lighting. People complain about that because somehow it just does not fit. And so you had a lunch. I want to cheer you a bit up. We made a scientific study about the quality of offices. I'll show you. Okay, I think you get it. Huh? Well-being in an office. We all office worker. We all work there. I would like to have my environment like this. But we need to be realistic. It is many influence factors. So how is your boss? How is the company culture? How is your day? If you have a fight with your spouse? And lighting. Lighting has an important role in there. And I want to bring that a little bit closer to your attention because we think we can make a big impact. I just want to pick up a few things I've seen in the conference here. You're very much aware of that, about the trends leading to different spaces. And please bear in mind, we are not HR people, we are lighting people. We see We see everything on the perspective. Thank you for reminding me. We see everything from the perspective of the rooms we have, the office spaces, the working spaces, and how we can create something that is providing the quality you need to have for working. So when we look at companies, of course, companies are different, employees are different, but on the other hand, they're all very similar. They work with people, so in the end, it should be about the people, and want to have people that are inspired, want to have people that are creative, and want to have people that are professional. Did someone ask you what kind of lighting you want to have in offices? In your office? Have you been asked in your company? Never happens. Never happens. The other trend is certainly what we have a lot of changes in terms of how people work today. I saw it in the other presentation as well. That's leading to a lot of changes how organizations are working these days. How the technology we are using is changing our lives. In the past, it was necessary that you come to the office because here you had your computer, here you had your desk. Is that necessary today? Actually not. We can work at Starbucks, we can work on the move. So what is the reason to come to the office? To meet the people, certainly. And therefore, and as a result of all these trends, we see also that not all offices, but offices tend to look a little bit different. So we have, for example, co-working spaces, we have different architectural styles, either be it like this or be it like that. Architects used lighting always to create, let's say, the fourth dimension in their spaces, to enhance the architecture, to create an inspiring space where people really like to work. That is one of the ingredients. But as I mentioned before, usually people are not asked if they want to have it like it is. Or for example, spaces like this one. We did a study with the Fraunhofer Institute and asked not the architects, not the consultant engineers, not the owner of the companies, not the lighting designers. We asked the people working in these conditions, what do you want? And that was quite interesting. It was done on a global scale with around 6,000 people, and they gave us lots of insights what people want. But I just point out a couple of things. Number one, what people want, they want to adapt the light like they want to have it. Some want it brighter, some want it darker, some want it warmer, some want it colder. I don't know how about you. Can you control your lights in your office? Do you know where the light switch is? No? Can you dim? Can you tune? People want control of their lights. The other thing is 500 lux is not sufficient. So I assume 500 lux is like voodoo to you. Most likely you don't know what this means. I'll give you an example. Outdoors on a sunny day, we have 100,000 lux, 100,000. On the other hand, a full moon, where you can read the newspaper, is just 1 lux. So this is the dynamic range. So 100,000, when we open the windows here, that will be extremely bright. What we have in offices here in Europe is 500 lux. In the US, 300 lux. In Australia, 250 lux. So basically, it's pitch dark. It's pitch dark in here. And when you ask the people what do they want, they say they want more light. Why 500 lux? Because the buildings are driven from the energy consumption bill. Everyone wants to drive down the energy, and this is why we sit in extremely dark spaces. People want more light. And the last thing is color temperature. The color temperature, I give you an example. When you open your refrigerator, most likely it's very, not only cold temperature, but also the color temperature is a kind of a bluish light. So that's a high color temperature. This is often applied in countries where it's extremely warm. When you go to Saudi Arabia, they have a cold light. And when you go around the Nordic, they have a warmer light, like a candle light. Huh? So this is the color temperature. Have you been asked what color temperature you want? Again, not. No one asked this. This is just done by an engineer who does it like they always did it. But when we asked people, what do you want? They gave us all sorts of answers. Some wanted it warmer, some wanted it colder. So they have different needs. So this is what the people want, but what they get is something completely different. When it comes to lighting, we strongly believe that with lighting we can give a certain quality to the people, something they really want. Basically, we think it should be a couple of ingredients in there. The first one is the aesthetic appearance. So if it's a round luminaire, if it's a suspended luminaire, it has to fit the architecture. This is one of the parts. Like this it was used in the past. The third one, we skip a little bit today, how we give the controls to the people, because this is a lot of technological stuff, but we can give really simple controls to the people. This is possible. I'll show you something later. But I want to focus a little bit on the middle one. How do we create well-being with lighting? We heard what people want, we heard what people get, but we basically think it should be 3 ingredients. The right light in time. When we look at daylight, it's changing over time. I quickly show you a movie, just a short clip. I have to show this because we all know daylight from every day, but when we look at it from a perspective, and basically when we look at the ingredients of daylight, first of all, it's a huge amount of light you get. The second thing is it's changing in direction, it's changing in intensity, and it's also changing in color temperature. So in the morning, it's rather warm, in the evening, it's rather warm, and during lunchtime, when we have high noon, it is a very crisp and cool color temperature. This is daylight. And everyone in an organization that moves up the chain gets most likely a place at the facade or a corner office, access to daylight. Everyone likes light. And basically, artificial lighting is no rocket science. Artificial lighting, when we do something close to the nature, this is what people like. And this is the great thing about the new technologies we have now at hand with the LED technology. It was so far applied mainly to save energy. Yes, this is possible. Saving energy, you can cut your energy bill with LED lighting to 1/3. So this was for a long time the driving factor. But we strongly believe that the new technologies we have are enabling us to bring the beauty of daylight, that what everyone wants, inside. So how can we transfer this? Well, we cannot transfer the sun completely in our office. This is unfortunately not possible, but we can do a lot better than we do today. So I brought a little sun here. Hang on a sec. So I show you not only the nice, emotional, wonderful pictures of the nature, but artificial lighting. So this is just one example of a luminaire. They come in different shapes and forms. Here we go. So what I showed you before is, this is a pretty neutral color temperature. You would have that maybe at this time of the day, because it is what we have outside. In the morning, the color temperature would be rather like this. And at noon, we would go for a color temperature like this. So this is what I said, the right light for the right time. Daylight is changing very similar to this dynamic range. And when you look at just the difference from warm to cold, this is a completely different effect on a room when you compare it to the static light we have in here. So do you need to control that yourself? Yes, you can. But normally it would work just like nature. Nature is doing that autonomously. You don't have a controller for the sun. it starts, the natural daylight curve is from warm, cold, warm, and also the intensity is changing. And we made a lot of studies, and I'm coming to that point later, that dynamic light, so what we have seen for millions of years, everyone is living under daylight, dynamic light is perceived as an important ingredient for well-being. So you've seen what nature is doing, you have seen what artificial lighting can do. I want to come back with two critical things, because we have to ask ourselves, does it pay off? Because we are running businesses, does it pay off? And number two, does it work? Is it just something for the emotions? Wow, nice. Or is it really something that has an impact on the well-being of the people? Okay, let me cover the first point, total cost of ownership of an offices. So you know most likely very much about the cost for an employee. I want to point out building, lighting, employee, and energy. Because everyone who is running a building is, first of all, energy, energy, energy. This is really important. So just a couple of assumptions. The numbers could be a little bit different here and there, depending on the location. But basically, a building, an office space, when you build it, costs around 200 euros a square meter. When you rent it, around 280 euros as 1 square meter in a year. This is roughly what you have to pay for a building. Let's make the assumption my boss has to pay for 10 square meter of my office space. So this is my part of the corridor, my part of the coffee kitchen, my part of offices. So 10 square meter cost for 1 employee. So now I'm entering dangerous ground. I just put in a number. Let's say 1 office worker total package is 80,000 euros. Could be more, could be less. Let's make the assumption. So 1 square meter, cut down on a square meter, this employee costs the company 8,000 euros a year. So lighting, most likely you don't have a feeling so for the cost of lighting. So the most expensive luminaire we have in our catalog, they're all singing, dancing with this tunable white functionality, costs 59 euros a square meter. So when a building lasts 15 years, this is 4 euros a square meter per year. So how about energy? Everyone is keen, energy bill has to go down. Correct, this is important, but energy is around 4 euros a square meter. So not a big deal. So one assumption, if we can make this person just 1% happier, 1% more effective, 1% less ill, that would be a total cost of investment. Can we make the person 1% more effective, creative? That is the big question. There are lots of studies out there. When you Google human-centric light or well-being through light, then you get a million of different studies. Most of them are not really tangible in terms of effect and numbers, but there are a couple of studies out there which I want to show you. One of them is, for example, from the Green Building Society in the US, and they compared bad lighting and good lighting. And bad lighting was really awful lighting. So it was flickering, greenish lights, and the good lighting we would also call awful, but a bit better. So it is not so far apart, but the difference it made is the good lighting on a long-term scale had a reduction of 2 sick days per year. So if you just apply that math, be it right or wrong, 2 sick days would be this odd number of 43 something or euros. So just these 2 sick days would be a total return of the investment of good lighting. We know life is not that simple because the people doing the lighting is a different group of people usually than the people working under these lights. But we see the effect very strongly. So from a financial point of view, we really think it is worth doing it. Let's stay a little bit critical. Does it work? You've seen the nice with the piano play. Everyone loves that, but let's be critical. Does it really work? Does it have an impact on the well-being of the people? So we did a study with the group Nymphenburg, and those are brain scientists. So they're doing they call it limbic emotional assessment. So they measure body reactions. You can do it with noise, you can do it with temperature. We did it with lighting. So How do people react when they have good lighting versus bad lighting? And it was done here in 2 rooms which were completely similar. Both LED lighting, so we did not have the really bad flickering light, so we had a pretty good lighting, so LED light, bright. And the new one, the other room had 3 ingredients. 3. We heard it before what people want. We gave it more light, so instead of the semi-darkness, we gave them just 50% more light. So yes, the energy is a little bit higher, the energy consumption, but there are ways to do that in a clever way. So we gave them more light, we gave them this, autonomously linked to the nature, so we mimicked the nature, the course of the day. And the last was a glare-free luminaire, so good lighting qualities, it did not glare, it did not flicker, all these ingredients. So between those 2 rooms, we did an assessment, and I show you a picture how it was done. So we were completely wired. So they were measuring our heartbeat rate, they were measuring our brain waves, our salivary cortisol levels, how sweaty your hands are when you're under stress. Many people get this. Then we get pulse, and the last one was quite interesting. You see those wires in the face of the person. When you're under stress, you make a stressed face. When you're relaxed, and you cannot control that. So we tried to fake it. You cannot control that, and we made a lot of stress tests, and they have been really stressful, in the bad room and in the good room. So we could measure the impact of the people. The result was quite interesting. What we found out, for example, that I think the 2 major indicators was the heartbeat rate. So the people had, and the Nymphenburg group said, a significantly lower heartbeat rate. And the heartbeat rate is stress level poor. If you have a lower neutral heartbeat rate, you can take stress better. And the other thing was the electrodermal activity also was significantly lower. So I'm not a doctor, but basically from those 6 influence factors, we had 2 that stayed even, so there was no effect on those. And on the other 4, we had an improvement of all the values. So that means we could measure the result of this type of lighting with a positive impact on how people cope with stress. And people who have lower stress level can be more active, can be more creative, and our people are also healthier. So this was for us a fantastic result of that survey. Wait a sec. Is that? Here we go. So it reduced the tension, it reduced the stress level, and the participants were more relaxed and could concentrate better on the task. So as a summary, good lighting had a positive effect, number 1, on the number of sick days. This is something we can calculate. Number 2, the lighting had a positive effect also on the stress level. Thing is, when this is up and running, it has basically an autonomous effect, so you won't notice this anymore. So before you noticed from cold to warm, that would not happen like this in reality. Like daylight is moving extremely slow. You just see it when it's sped up, how dynamic really it was. So most people don't see that anymore, so it has an impact. People but also use it if they just feel wrong in a room. So for example, they just want to have it warmer or colder. So those are the 2 ways to control it. Most people use the autonomous mode. That was one of the aspects. The other study I wanted to show you is from A.T. Kearney. So it's a big global consultancy firm, and they made a survey for the lighting industry in total of just trying to quantify that, because you had heard the term human-centric light, active light. These are all different names for lighting for the people and not just for the energy bill. And they made the survey in different application fields, like industry, healthcare, offices, education, and try to quantify the effect of all those studies I gave you before, like the 2 sick days less and the increase of creativity and also. And they did it for the different application fields. And the quantification is, when you read here the summary, a full market penetration is a saving of 12.8 billion in Europe. So this is not just a hygiene factor, this is really money. So they calculated what I said before, they calculated the sick days reduction and also how people got healthier. So good lighting for us is not just an emotional thing. Good lighting is not only something to enhance the architecture. Good lighting should really be embraced in the companies as one of the ingredients companies can use to enhance the spaces. So we see a lot of changes in offices, and people get, I heard it in the other lectures, better quality of food, which is absolutely perfect, better quality of air. Not many people think of lighting as one of the influence factors, but when we see those numbers, we think it has a huge impact. Lighting quality in offices. So far as a summary for maybe to point your attention to something you just don't notice too often, but which has a huge impact on you.